Good morning, everyone. This is Diane. I'm sorry I have not had a lot of videos up. I have been sick this week and I haven't had COVID, just a stomach bug, but it was enough that I just have been feeling pretty weak and tired for days. I still am not top notch. I'm still pretty weak. I'm still not eating much. So anyway, I have been working on these journals just quietly and resting when I have to. But I have really enjoyed making these journals. I've been having fun using some unusual supplies for making journals, like the vintage lacing card journals that I made recently. These are made with vintage U.S. mint coin bags, and they're a very sturdy fabric, and they have a very light pink cast to them. I don't know if they look pink to you, but it's a very light pink and dingy because they're from 1976, and they didn't come 100% clean, shall we say. You can tell they're old. But I love these. I had so much fun working with the materials for these. I used an 8x8 Seven Gypsies paper pad, an old one, like 10 years old, called Lille, Lille. And I had enjoyed using that. I'd been hoarding that paper pad. And I broke out some of my what was the word I was going to use? Well, my stamps. I use a lot of different stamps, and they're quirky kind of stamps, a lot of them are. So I had fun with them. So anyway, I'll talk more about what's in here as we go through it. Each bag was made separately or differently. So this is the sack. I did do a video making some ephemera, and I talked about how I constructed the covers. So you can go back and watch that if you're interested. But this one has the seams on the inside. There's a fold here, and there's a seam here. And then I cut off the ends and made that the length I needed. It's fringed a little bit on the open end, but it's not a material that frays really easily, so it's not going to give you trouble that way. I tied it up with a vintage postal twine, which matches the colors of the kit. And I'll tell you how I tied it. I just have a long piece of it, and I looped it. I doubled it, and I put the loop down here, and I just take one of the ends and put it through the loop and then tie it. And of course, you don't have to do it that way. You can just tie it if you want to. Just do it any way you want to. Or don't have it on at all. So this is what it looks like. This is what the bag was like. It had all of this printing. I just a little bit here got covered up. It said, "Please do not cut bag when opening. Return to U.S. Mint, quarters, $1,000, SWB," and it says again, quarters. There's 3 signatures, and these are pieces cut from the Lille paper. And this is an interesting piece that I added. I hope you like this piece. I've had it for a long time. I got it in a box of stuff. Sometimes I think it's really fun to get a box of stuff at a flea market. I get stuff like that quite often from the Blue Van Man. I'll just pick up a box and say, how much do you want for this box? So this was in it, and it's metal. I think it's a name identifier for someone who worked for Armor Leather Company. And there's his photo in there. It's got some acetate over it. It's got a stain on his face, like a rust mark. But I Googled Armor Leather Company, and apparently it's a leather tanning company, and there were plants in different parts of the country, and one was in, I think it was Wellsboro, Pennsylvania, Williamsport, Pennsylvania, which is a little ways from me, but not too far. and that particular plant tanned leather for shoe soles. So let's say that's from there. I really don't know, but I think that was the closest plant to me that I saw when I Googled it. So I left the bag as it was made, except for cutting off the ends, and so I just slipped not cheesecloth, oh my goodness, chipboard inside it and sewed here between the cover and the spine on both sides, and then I sewed the end. It was pretty simple. I just had to cut it so that the board would slip in and not have a lot of room up here. It fits in pretty snugly. I made some ephemera, which we did quite a bit of ephemera on that one video that I made. I copy dyed some papers, and I used the colors that were in this paper pad of a antique red and a craft color and black. I used a lot of that in the ephemera that I made. This is a embossed piece that I made, and I just backed it with black cardstock and collaged a few little pieces that I cut from the Lil paper. The Lil paper has, they're like collaged pieces, so you could go in and cut lots of elements out from it. It's really fun. This is a vintage phonetics card that came from a school. I'm pretty sure that that box was used in a school. And I just made a tag out of it and put a metal edge piece on there. So that was fun. Here's one of the little pages. You can see all the collaged elements on it. And there's a piece cut from the paper that I made into a pocket, and one of the sheets is backed with this design, bingo cards. So I cut some of them out and backed them with some craft paper and sandwiched some twine in between so that it's just a little pull. So here's one of the couple of the stamps that I used. This one is a grid, like for mixed media type of stamping, and then the red British telephone booth. Because this page was longer than the front page, I added this vintage braid trim on it. This is from a vintage ledger book or record book. This was cut from the Lil paper, and I made some tabs in those colors I mentioned and added a square brad. And this is just from an old scrapbook paper. This is from another Seven Gypsies paper pad that I had. And there are some maps on the Lil paper, so I just added that map tag. I did add some vintage ephemera to these books, and including some that I recently got, and this is a black and white photo card that I got recently at the flea market. And I just started going to the flea market, so I got this about a week ago. And I will just show you the stamps that I used as I come to them. I used a lot. This one says, a current favorite. This is a vintage calling card that the image on the front was torn off, so I decorated the back of it. I did that in a video quite a while ago. I just stamped a bunch of images on the back of it, and so I threw that down as a little pocket and added this little piece of ephemera that I have. I went through my binder of ephemera and pulled out pieces that kind of went with the feel of this paper and the colors. Here's another ephemera that I made, probably on the video. This is one of the pages that I cut from the book, and then some journaling inside. I used my Big Shot to cut out some numbers and added some of those. This is quite a sturdy piece. I love this back of this page. This was just a scrappy tuck spot that I had made a long time ago, and I added that. And I also went through my box of homemade ephemera and pulled out pieces that I could use, like this and this. This is made from a vintage big photo album, the kind that you would put 8 by 12 photos in. This is one of the frames around the photo. And I just stamped on it. Just a little label spot up there. I made this little double pocket with red cardstock and a piece of the paper pad. This is just a copy dyed index card with a scrap of the paper on it. And then this is a desk memorandum. I guess it's from 1982, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It's just a little perpetual calendar stamp there. I stamped in black and red. And on the back of each signature, I did a collage with some of the paper pieces and this stamped piece that I stamped on coffee dyed paper. And this is a die cut that I embossed, and I talked about that in my ephemera video too. Second signature has another embossed piece. This one is Bingo. As you saw, Bingo is part of the paper pad, and I cut this from that floral piece of the paper. I just rubbed some black ink over that, and I made a tag with a vintage bingo card with another metal edge piece. Up here it says this is life documented. There's another vintage trim sewn to that edge. There's a chandelier up there. This is a piece of that record book, that ledger book that actually has writing on it. It's actually just lined paper. It had this at the top, but someone actually drew ledger on it with pencil and a ruler, obviously. I mean pen. It's done in pen. And very neatly. Made this little pocket out of just a scrap of, or a piece of polka dot paper. And there's a stamped piece up there that was in my stash. And I made a tag with another piece cut from the little paper. And I made an envelope from the little paper. I put this little bell on the paper clip. I forgot to do it to the others in the other book, but I will have to do that. I put brads on this and just wrapped a piece of the postal twine around it. And inside is just a scrap of lined paper with a little piece cut from the paper. I really like all the elements in this book. I think it's really fun. I hope you guys like it. I hope the stuff I make isn't too weird. You seem to like it. There's a bunch of Charlie Chaplin looking fellas there. Some stamping here. I stamped this stamp so that it wouldn't like be a perfect image. I just wanted it to look faded. This piece was cut from one of the sheets of paper. I just glued it down there. And this was in my stash of handmade ephemera. It's a piece of a map with Tim Holtz people with butterflies behind them. And a vintage airmail envelope from 1943. It was sent from Davisville, Rhode Island to Windsor, New York. There's nothing inside it. You could put a card in there that you could write on. Some leaves I just stamped on the edge of that page. I used the same stamps in both books. So this one has a couple of stamps and a couple pieces of paper for collage. And this stamp says while you were out. It's like one of those little message sheets. And here is another long pocket. And this was talked about in the video that I did on ephemera. It's got 3 pockets on it with little pieces inside. There's a round tag that I made. A little piece from a Tim Holtz paper that I've had for a long time. And these are both digital pieces. And tucked in the back here is this vintage receipt from 1952 from Sheely Brothers in Elmira, New York. It looks like it says one large bowl of beauty, but I don't know if that's really what it says. And one small bowl of beauty, $7.50 and $3.50. I don't know what it says. I don't know what Sheely Brothers is. But it's just an old piece of ephemera for you. Here's that page with the bingo cards on it. This is just a little cluster that I made. An old typewriter stamp. And here's the collage page with the journaling spot. And the third signature has a different embossed piece. Each one has a different design on it. And a different piece of trim. These are tags that are in my shop, my Etsy shop. And the shop will be linked below because these journals will be listed in the shop. So these are railway stamp or tags that I actually own, and there are 3 put together, perforated. So they are in my shop like this with 3 together. The third one is in the other journal. And I just cut them apart. You can use them together or apart, but I cut them apart and used them as a tuck spot and a tag because the colors were perfect with this book. Here's the pocket piece here for this page, and it's got the background piece is most of a page from the little paper and some glassine bags and then some pieces that I stamped. And I just made these tags. I punched or used a die to make some tags with the paper. And this was just a scrap that I had. It's not a very even looking. I'll have to even that up. There's an extra little strip there. I'm going to cut that off right now before I forget. So I just used my tab punch to make that tag. That's better. But I love the colors. I just had this scrap of paper and the colors were perfect. And this little tag was a little bit too small, so I just adhered it to a piece of red cardstock. It's overhanging a bit. Let's just do some touch-ups while I go through the book. This is one of my new stamps. Isn't she cute? This is prominent in the paper pad, so I stamped that word there, abundance. This is just a digital that I've had in my stash. And I made this collage tag. It's been in my stash. I have to add one of those little bells to that. This is title, date, memo, and then you circle which of these words is pertinent to whatever your memo is about. Food, book, movie, music, travel, sport, and party. There are also red stars featured on the paper pad, so they were part of this set, which also has the word beautiful, which I think I used in here. This is one of the journal cards that tuck spots I made with stamped cork. I made them quite a while ago. So I used at least one cork piece in each journal. And this is a vintage envelope that came out of a scrapbook. So I backed it with scrapbook paper. You can journal on that because it had bits of the scrapbook paper that were glued to it. And it came with this paper. It's from Kent State University. This is dated 1976. And then I added this piece, written from St. Helena Sanitarium and Hospital in Sanitarium, California in 1939. It's written to the woman's daughter on her birthday. Yep, there's the word beautiful. And this says life as we know it. And then another pocket that I made with the paper, just very simple, cut out square and folded down the edge so you could see the other side of it. This was in my stash, just a stamped piece of coffee dyed paper. You can open that up and write on it. And here is a repair tag that is longer than the norm. This one is 8 inches. But it fits nicely in this journal. And then here's one of my more recent acquisitions. The carrier's receipt for undelivered registered mail returned and receipts for registered mail delivered. And this is dated 1943. Love that little elephant. Here we have a stamp of a beautiful word, effloresce, to burst into bloom or blossom. I just think it's a beautiful word. And there's the last collage, and on the back is a vintage library card. It's actually, or pocket. It's actually 1982, and it's from The Secret Garden. And I just put this is not vintage, it just looks vintage. And my signature is on the back of that. So this one is called Life is Good. And this one is called Collection. I said that the bags are constructed differently. They also have a bit of different print on them. The other one was for quarters. This one is for cents. This one says Philadelphia, where the other one did not. And this one has the date, 1976. So this one has the seams on the outside. You can see the stitching right here. So the cardboard could fit right up to the stitching, and then this is obviously it was stitched, so the cardboard couldn't go any further, but it makes just a nice little edge, a soft edge. And I collaged some pieces on it, including a Tim Holtz guy. This is a Tim Holtz chipboard piece, but I peeled it so it's not so thick. This one has the exact same elements, different pictures or images, but the exact same things, and the stamps are all the same in the same places. The trims are the same. This one has a different map page. For this journal card, I put the journaling on the outside because I needed these two pieces to go together so you could read the word. I did not put these cards, these pieces in here. So if I catch where they're supposed to be, I'll stick them in. Oh, I think this one actually goes right here. So this is one of the black and white photo cards that I just got. Here's the cork piece. This one has that memorandum from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. For this pocket, I used a little coin envelope, and this is one of the tags that I punched or cut with my Big Shot, and this I punched out. You can see that little sketched fella. I featured him a few times in these journals. I thought he was cute. And here is the envelope that I made. This envelope, I believe it was a first day issue from Scandinavian Airlines System. I'm really not sure. This woman that had this scrapbook, somebody sent me this scrapbook in a Happy Mail, which was really awesome. And it was just full of envelopes. So she collected envelopes from around the world. So it's from 1952, and it says, "Dear friend, Scandinavian Airlines System is happy to send you, with greetings, this letter, flown from Los Angeles to Copenhagen on SAS's history-making first exploratory polar flight." So I guess it's not the stamp. It's just for the flight via airmail. So I thought it was pretty cool. And now you get it in this journal. This receipt is GLF Egg Service, a Department of Cooperative GLF Exchange Incorporated, dated 1953, and it does deal with eggs. I, for some reason, needed one more sheet of coffee-dyed scrapbook paper. I didn't do enough. So I took my cut-off pieces and sewed them together. So there's 3 sewn together to create one more page. And here's another envelope with another cork piece. This is 1940. And again, I just glued something on the back, and I put this tag inside. I'll have to tie something in that. I didn't do anything to the tag. signatures on the back there. There's another used library pocket. Maybe I'll just tuck that right in there. With each journal will come a packet. You will get 3 of the full 8x8 sheets. The one that says Abundance has ledger on the back. This one with the Eiffel Tower and the little cartoon guy. And this one that says Adventure. You could cut that up to make bingo cards out of it if you wanted to. And also you will get this bag that has a few die cut shapes, about 3 die cut or punched shapes from the paper, plus scraps from the paper that you can use to make collages and clusters, and then cut-offs from the copy dyed paper. So all of the things I just showed you come with one of the journals, and they both get the same. Okay, so I hope that you really like these interesting and unique and eclectic journals, and they're not too feminine, so it could be for a guy, even though there's a slight pink cast to the bag, the cover. So this one is called Collection, and this one is called Life is Good. I hope you enjoyed this little flip through. Thank you for your patience with me as I work through things and try to regain strength, and I'm dealing with a lot right now, and I realize I haven't been as active on YouTube, and I appreciate your concern, so please bear with me. But I'm still here, I'm still working, and I will be on my channel as often as I can. So I will see you soon, and have a creative day today. Bye-bye.